Welcome and thank you for all attending this year's Skills Network Conference. We're here to talk to you about the Consortium, WYCC and the projects we run, but we're also to get you to join in the conversation.
Yes, it's 10 years since the first conference in 2010, and although this one has definitely had its challenges, it's great to see so many of you have joined us in this virtual world. We've had over 270 people registered, and we're very pleased to be able to bring you all together to continue the conversation on skills. We've had a great response to our pre-conference survey. The skill that you've learnt intentionally or unintentionally during lockdown, well, you've all been learning sewing skills, biking with confidence, hiding from your partner in the house. There's obviously been an awful lot of baking going on, including learning to make pastel de nata, a Portuguese custard tart, apparently. In response to what people consider to be the most important non-mandatory skills, or the skills that everybody really wished that they had, if we look at the responses to that, you'll see that the standout response was communication, which goes back to the conference theme today, which is about the power of that communication, and the skills that people would wish to have in their organisations. Again, communication, as well as the proficient use of online tools. We asked what skill people would like to gain now, what would they like? And as well as the online technology skills, very many of you would like to learn a foreign language, or truly understand a balance sheet. One I particularly liked was telepathy. We asked what you thought the demand for online training would be and whether that would continue to grow, and as you can see from our slides, it really stands out that people think it will. And also whether or not you would like help with that in terms of developing the online training into your organisation. And again, there was strong support for that, on which you'll see on the next slide. A very positive response to wanting support to deliver that training. We asked them where you were most likely to go for information, and as you will see, that training providers and colleges were one of the standout areas in terms of where people would go. We would urge you to use our website and that of the LEPS, the Leeds City region, but all our partners are here, the West Yorkshire Learning Providers, Yorkshire Universities, all of whom provide great sources of information. And we would urge you, if you haven't already done so, to sign up to our newsletter 7, which again provides that information, including links to such things as the consultation on the devolution of the adult education budget, which Nav, our chair, has mentioned earlier. So on to what skills are needed by employers now and what skills you think would be in demand in the future. And again, digital does stand out, as well as resilience and business planning, leadership and management, which is probably unsurprising in this current time. And what industries are most in need of new skills to adapt? Well, genuinely, I think it's all were represented, even if manufacturing was mentioned more than any others, but clearly all industries will need to adapt. And finally, if you were your 18-year-old self, what skills would you encourage yourself to develop? Well, better financial management came out, obviously digital and IT. One was vaccine development, which would be very good now, wouldn't it? But I did quite like one that said smooth talking. So thank you for completing that survey. The Consortium of Colleges has come a long way since it was set up in 2002 by a group of college principals wanting to be able to respond to the funding body at the time, the Learning and Skills Council. Now in 2020, we have the planned evolution of adult education budgets to the combined authority. And again, we want to be able to have that dialogue about skills and how best to deliver these challenges and the opportunities so that together we can meet the needs of individuals and employers across the region. I'll now hand over to my colleague Joanne Patrickson, our Project Director. Thank you.
Morning everybody. 4 years ago, our 7 partner colleges formed the WYCC joint venture. Its aim is to formalise the way colleges collaborate and conduct business for the future jointly, and in order to respond to emerging priorities in the agenda of the LEP to the benefit of all our colleges. As you know, under the joint venture, the colleges have been very successful in securing funding and providing significant investments into business within the Leeds City region. We've been aligning our products to the skills plan and working collectively with our colleagues at the LEP to deliver a cohesive offer to businesses. We've delivered the skills service over the last 2 years, proactively listening to our partners, industry and yourselves to review and refine our offer to business and to meet the ever-moving fast situations we find ourselves in, including Brexit and COVID-19. It's enabled our partners to apply a more commercial approach, being able to better manage, measure and respond to commercial opportunities that resulted in working with over 100 different training providers, many of us who are with us today. The skills service has more recently been bolstered by the introduction of our high performing workplace project. We're working collaboratively with over 20 public and private providers to deliver training that's designed to help SMEs grow by developing their internal talent. And more recently, we've enhanced the product through bringing on coaches to support the embedding of skills, mentoring to help build employee skills to cope with complex challenges, and peer-to-peer support to help stabilise and recover in these challenging times. Our Let's Talk Skills project is a brilliant example of how the power of collaboration and communication can collectively visualise and shape the skills offer to meet the needs of businesses of the future. The development of our 10 collaborative skills partnerships across sectors from low carbon to digital, textile, manufacturing and medical technology are to name but a few that are underpinned by investments from ESF that can test and pilot new skills with SMEs that we then will deliver through new and virtual learning solutions and to support our businesses to become resilient for the future in the Leeds City region. We're currently working with a wide range of training providers, funding bodies and the Leeds City Region Enterprise Partnership to adapt to the current demands of COVID-19 within the parameters of the project funding we've been allocated. Our partners within the Reboot programme have responded in a dynamic way to translate the offer to provide individuals the chance to upskill, reskill and gain employability and sector-specific qualifications and training in digital, engineering and the construction sectors. Colleges transferred provision to online, and with live 20 programmes, we've seen a significant increase in demand for their provision over the last 3 months. Through the work of the projects from the consortium, we've seen significant culture of collaboration coming to fruition, an increase in drive and momentum, greater commitment and investment in increasing the volume, pace, likelihood and scale of returns for all of our partners. Our colleagues in the consortium are going to take you through the take you through the great work of some of our projects to date. So please welcome Joanne Harvatt. He's going to let you know how one of our projects has adapted to these very challenging times. Thank you.
Good morning. So I'm going to tell you about our journey from adaptation and development to online delivery as part of our high performing workplaces project. So earlier in the year, we procured 21 providers to deliver our training alongside a framework of associate coaches. Following a long procurement exercise, things were looking really positive. We had a comprehensive offer across our 4 categories. That includes leadership, effective HR, innovative working and exports. So our offer went live with our Grow Skills brochure, which you can see on the slide, and businesses could finally access 40% of the cost of training but at this time, all of our courses were classroom based. So fast forward now to the end of March and the impact of social distancing measures caused by the coronavirus. This meant that our face-to-face delivery was now not going to be possible. This would have a dramatic impact on our ability to deliver. As one of our suppliers said, all of our training fell off the cliff last week, and we've been busy rescheduling and looking for alternative ways to deliver. But businesses do have more immediate priorities, such as keeping their businesses operating and changing the direction of their services. So it was around about the end of March that we delivered the first in a series of online project groups. This was attended by our wide supply chain and our coaches and our colleges. We've since delivered 4 of these online project groups, and they've proved to be a really effective mechanism to share ideas around training, techniques, and also to kind of support each other to enable a swift transfer and adaptation over to online methods. Project groups has also enabled us to have a deeper understanding of the issues faced by businesses and our supply chain. And I've used this information along with the contract managers to provide the best support that we can at these times. So I'm pleased to say now that much of our training has been very quickly adapted to become available via online delivery, and will be on our website shortly. So our providers can now continue to work with businesses to make sure that their skills needs are met, even during these tough times. We can continue to support businesses through developing internal talent, teaching them the skills to access new markets, teaching them how to work in innovative ways, because we do have that on our offer, as well as teaching them the skills to progress their leaders within their businesses, which our pre-conference survey has highlighted that leadership is important both now and in the future. It was during one of our project meetings that one of our providers suggested we should really be offering some free online training sessions. So we evolved, we adapted, and we ran around about 12 workshops to give businesses a flavour of the types of training that they could be accessing. This included creativity in the workplace, effective HR, strategies for sales, engaging your virtual teams. And we've actually had a high number of attendees. I think at last count it was just over 200, and the feedback we've received from the attendees has been really great. So we have adapted. Our providers, our supply chains, and our internal teams have really worked hard behind the scenes so that businesses in the region can benefit from a range of our part-funded, now online, training offer. So I'd now like to hand you over to Michelle Mook from Pro Development. She's one of our training providers on high-performing workplaces, and she's been working closely with us for a number of years now.
Thank you, Joanne. Really pleased to be here today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our story. And I guess our story starts a couple of years ago. We had the pleasure of working with the West Yorkshire Consortium of Colleges on the skills service for a few years, and had some great success with that. And earlier this year, we're absolutely delighted to find out that we'd also then been one of the 21 providers selected to deliver the high performing workplaces funded work. So that was great news for us, and we were absolutely over the moon, not only to get the innovative working practices that Joanne mentioned, but also the empowering leaders. So we were going to be doing work on 2 of those work streams that Joanne's just described. I think for us, what's particularly great about the funding is we work with SMEs across the Leeds City region. So for them, having that funded development and opportunities to support their people with that funding is massive, and it makes such a difference to them. I think one for potentially some maybe that wouldn't necessarily be able to invest, that funding is giving them the opportunity to invest in their people. But for others, it's stretching their, you know, often quite small budgets as well, and giving them the opportunity to do more with less as well. So it's always been such a great thing, has that funding through the West Yorkshire Consortium of Colleges. And then, as Joanne said, COVID-19 hit, so we were all set up in March, absolutely excited about the opportunities that the funding was going to give us, and then COVID-19, as it say, reared its head. And as Joanne said, we were one of the providers who said, yes, everything literally did fall off a cliff. It was absolutely horrendous. We went through all of that kind of transition that people go through, shock, denial, real kind of despair, but I realised very quickly that we were going to have to do something about it if we were going to survive in this climate. What's been fantastic for us is the support that we've had from the West Yorkshire Consortium as well, around bringing the providers together. So they were fantastic in setting up project teams and meetings where we could come together and share ideas. But very quickly we realised we were going to have to adapt, and that's exactly what we did, looking at how we could start to move our provision to an online service. The taster sessions that Joanne mentioned, we were part of those, and they were fantastic. It was great to get that opportunity, to start doing some stuff online, which for many of us as providers was a completely new concept, but also the opportunity to start to get that message out there about the high performing workplaces projects and funding as well. So we got the chance to run quite a few of those webinars, and as Joanne mentioned, they were hugely successful. The big challenge for us was, how did we start to move our face-to-face delivery into this new online world? And so we spent a lot of time as a provider working together to look at how we could section up our work, make it into more manageable chunks so that we could deliver that online, and started to create a lot of our content into what we were calling chapters, where we could then start to deliver that with our providers. And that's gone really, really well. We've been so pleased with the response to that new online offering. We've been able to do a number of things online in that way. So we are running a lot of our employee engagement work now through the innovative working practices is all online. And we've just managed to complete a piece of work with a fabulous electrical company based in Leeds, who have actually just completed that project and have done really well and had some great results through that as well, which has been fantastic. And then today, actually, interestingly, we are finishing an Empowering Leaders programme, which had a small number of people on. So we are actually managing to do that face-to-face today, socially distanced, because we do a lot of our learning outdoors. And so that's great. That's going on today as we speak. And again, so great that we're still able to find some ways to do some of that face-to-face still as well. I guess for us, the next thing is we've just found out that we've been awarded the further funding for the mentoring that's mentioned by Joanne, and also the peer-to-peer groups, and we're going to be really looking forward to how we can deliver some of that in the coming weeks ahead, and already have some great plans to get those messages out there to people. So lots of opportunities out there for people to get engaged with, and we've been really pleased with the support that we've had from the West Yorkshire Consortium of Colleges, and we're really grateful for that. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Joanne, who I think is going to talk a bit more about the mentoring and the peer-to-peer groups.
Thanks, Michelle. It's nice to hear things are becoming a bit more positive and managing to adapt, and that you're actually delivering today, which is great. So also, as part of our response to the pandemic, as Michelle mentioned, we've procured 5 of our associates from our framework to provide mentoring. So this is to help with businesses to cope with some of the complex challenges that they're currently facing. So businesses can go on our website, profiles will be available shortly, and they can look at the mentors, and these mentors are to kind of help build skills such as strategy, change management, communication, planning, and problem solving. So this offer's now live, and the mentoring, it can be accessed with 40% off using our ECIF project. Alongside the mentoring, we're also offering SMEs in the region access to peer-to-peer group sessions to help them to get back into business. So I'm pleased to say that these peer-to-peer sessions are fully funded through our project, and businesses will have an opportunity to connect with other businesses in group settings, be online obviously to start with, to share experiences and also to action plan together to help them to get back on the road to growth at no cost to them apart from their time. So these peer-to-peer sessions are going to be launched this month, and full details will be made available on our website. So I think I've covered 3 of the key areas of the work that we do at the consortium. Firstly, aligning our funding to the needs of businesses by offering taster sessions, online training, peer-to-peer group sessions and mentoring, and also true resilience and adaptation by our colleges and our providers. And lastly, working harder to increase businesses' skills and confidence so that they can recover and grow skills. So I'd now like to hand you over to my colleague Brydie Lund.
Sorry, I think it's me. Thank you, Joanne. Myself and my colleague Brydie are going to talk a little bit more about Let's Talk Real Skills and the work we're doing under that project. So Let's Talk Real Skills ensure significant improvements in skills provisions through a strong collaborative approach with sectors and industry groups linked to both HE and FE. It explores sustainable ways to improve skills and how to improve productivity and growth in key sectors such as chemicals, rail, digital, manufacturing and engineering, health and social care, amongst others. The project will deliver a tailored sector model of engagement. This model will bring together employers, industry group, universities, colleges as well, and hopefully transform the skills system within those sectors. Each group will aim to create a system that works for employers by doing a number of things, creating space for employers to work with their supply chains, business clusters and skills providers, delivering a sector market of skills development where employers play an active role and make a greater contribution towards high quality training. And we've got some slides here that provide a bit more of a summary. Let's Talk Real Skills will align SME skills demand and capacity to deliver the right skills solutions. It will also put employers at the centre of the skills design, improve access to training solutions by SMEs and supply chains, whilst also address sector replacement demand issues. Facilitate collaboration between educators and business, provide immersive learning and virtual reality solutions, provide training that builds resilience to economic change, enable innovative delivery methods to be developed and tested, SME employers to make a greater contribution to high quality training, as I touched on earlier. I'm just going to hand you back to my colleague Brydie now. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. As Jeremy mentioned, my name's Brydie and I'm one of the skills associates here, and I look after the sectors low carbon, construction and rail. I want to share some of the positive work we've already been doing in rail so far. We've already set up our collaborative skills partnership and we've run 2 of these meetings already. So these collaborative skills partnerships are made up of universities, colleges, trading bodies and employers. And we've really been having some great conversations about some of the skills gaps that we've seen already in the region. We've also gained some really great intelligence from training bodies such as NZAR, who really pinpoint at different areas of growth, of forecasted skills, and areas of where we should delve into a little bit more. We've currently been speaking to employers over the phone and through Zoom, and finding out what current skills they really need and what the industry needs post-COVID and how we can support using this funding. We've also been inviting them to our virtual Action Learning Forum, where we'll gather some employers and again discuss what those needs are and how we can help with the funding. So our funding and this project, especially with rail, is industry-led, and it will provide the best it can do. I've invited today Matthew Brooks, who's part of our Collaborative Skills Partnership, and he's been there from the start. And I wanted to ask him a few questions, nothing much, just 3, just to see why he got involved and his experience so far. So, hi Matthew, hope you're okay. If it's okay, just start by asking, why did you get involved with the Collaborative Skills Partnership under the rail sector?
Hi Brydie, thank you. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you again. So from a Redstone perspective, we are a Leeds-based or Leeds head office SME within the rail industry, and we are both a rail employer and a rail training provider, upskilling our own workforce. So when I was approached to be part of the Rail Collaborative Skills Partnership, I found it was a really exciting opportunity for us to make a real tangible difference to the Leeds City region particularly. I think it's fair to say, pardon me, that there are skills gaps certainly across the rail industry. As you mentioned, NSAR have been able to provide us the National Skills Academy for Rail with some quite informative insights in where those skills gaps are. And certainly if we look from an employer's perspective, Redstone will be involved in some of the most highest profile rail infrastructure projects coming up over the next 5 years, certainly Northern Powerhouse, Transpennine route upgrade. And these are all the things that as a Leeds-based employer, we want to make sure that those skills gaps are certainly decreased as much as we can to make sure that us and others within the Leeds region can certainly benefit from those infrastructure developments. Alongside that, it's something of personal interest to myself. I'm very keen to bring people into the rail industry who are not involved at the minute, and or upskilling those who are in the industry currently. So there's a personal interest for me to be here today as well.
Perfect, thank you Matthew. The second question was, what are the benefits have you already seen be involved in the project from an employer perspective?
I think it would be mainly around collaboration and networking. As I said before, as a Leeds-based SME, we're involved in a number of rail projects throughout the UK, but with this project particularly coming together with the people on the call today and also other partners within the region to really get visibility of those skills shortages and to try and implement and add value, and I guess shape change really would be the biggest thing from our perspective. We can obviously do so much as an SME, but I think together, involved with the WYCC together, we can probably do a lot more. And as I say, if we can add some value being an employer, then we're more than happy to do that.
Thank you. And finally, what are you most excited to see evolve from the rail sector using the Let's Talk Real Skills funding?
As you touched on, and as your colleagues have touched on in the beginning of this presentation today, there's a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of good things starting to happen within a number of sectors across the Leeds City region. I think from our perspective, and certainly my personal perspective, the incitement comes from identifying those skills gaps. And I think from a Leeds-based company perspective, making sure that when these infrastructure projects start to really kick off at the back end of this year into 2021, the Leeds City region has got the skill set, or at least has a pathway to make sure we have the skill set as and when required to ensure that we reap the rewards of that being in our area. Alongside that, as I mentioned at the beginning, as a dual rail employer and training company, there's an incentive for us to contribute towards the project as well. We can get a work bank forecast from our supply chain as the employer, and hopefully we can fill some of those gaps being a training provider as well.
Thank you, Matthew. It's been great hearing from you, and we continue to look forward to work with Redstone. You've been really, really useful to us so far, so thank you for that. I'm now going to hand over back to Jeremy to give you a bit more of an update about some of the work he's been doing under the digital sector.
Thank you, Brydie. My work I've been undertaking quite recently has involved working with a local Leeds-based employer called Hippo Digital. And for us, this is a quote I've had directly from Robert, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, couldn't join us on here, but he did send me this quote, which I'll read out. For us, I should tell you the question in which I asked him first of all. The first question, I asked him a number of questions. I've summarised a little bit rather than going through everything I asked him, a couple of key points he made. The first question was, in terms of skills gaps and skills in general, what do you feel that Hippo Digital and perhaps other digital sector businesses need in order to continue to grow over the next 5 years? And this is the quote from Robert. For us, the types of soft skills that ensure people are consultative in their approach are key, as well as good solid grounding in their chosen domain. We have learned not to try and second guess what might happen next, and will need to remain very competitive and adaptable. There was another question I also asked in connection with, what are your thoughts on how COVID-19 will impact on Hippo Digital as a business? And this is what Robert said. We have had to change the way we work significantly. Our approach is collaborative, and that has all had to ensure that we shift so much of what we do online. The team has adapted well, and our use of online collaboration tools such as Trello, Miro, Jira, Confluence, as well as more expected tools such as Slack, Zoom, Google Meet, has increased rapidly. My personal iPad sent me a screen time report this morning, and last week, excuse me, last week my screen time, sorry, I've dried up, excuse me a minute, apologies. Last week my screen time had gone down by 18% to an average of just 8 hours, 39 minutes per day, excuse me. That looking at that assumption, Robert has reduced the amount of online meetings that he has. As we do a lot of our work in the public sector, including health, the amount of work has reduced. They've had to recruit, but we've also learned not to try and second guess what might happen next, and we'll need to remain very responsive and adaptable. So that's what Robert said. And through the collaborative skills partnership and those type of consultation with employers, it'll enable us to evaluate the current skills and training needs of the digital sector. Using that intelligence and further discussions through the CSP and wider groups, we can then formulate an action plan to which we will act upon. Thank you. I'll hand you back to Brydie now.
Thanks, Jeremy. So you've heard how busy we've both been doing in different sectors, and I just wanted to mention about how employers can get involved. And if you do, we welcome you to invite employers to the Skills Associates so they can also be involved. These are the different ways they can be involved. So we've obviously got the Collaborative Skills Partnership that both myself and Jeremy's mentioned. We've also got the Action Learning Forums that are currently taking place virtually, where employers can come together, discuss ideas in an informal setting, a really organic setting, and we can build upon them ideas. And finally, if they can't make any of the dates, we can always just arrange a telephone interview. Any sort of contribution, as you've heard from Matthew, is so significant with this project. So even a telephone interview would be great too. You can also get in touch on the Hoover community app today. If you want to get in touch with any of the Skills Associates, Matthew himself, or how we can find out more to help employers that maybe you know. So yeah, So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Claire Kerry, who's going to give you an update on Reboot.
Thank you, Brydie. Morning, everyone. Myself and Lindsey Johnson, Project Manager at West Yorkshire Combined Authority and the LEP, will conclude this morning's presentations just by talking to you about Reboot, and particularly in the context of collaboration. I know Joanne summarised the project earlier. I'm just going to flick slides across. I'm sure that'll catch up. There we go. Reboot really acts as a springboard to career progression by providing fully funded training and access to training with the aim of inspiring, upskilling and reskilling employed individuals. It's seen as a skills arm to the LEP's Future Goals campaign. So there's ourselves leading delivery alongside Leeds Trinity University, and really driving through what we can do as FE partners as far as delivering qualified training, well, qualification-based training for employed individuals. And this unique offer really demonstrates a joint commitment to enabling and supporting individuals' career progression. The programme responds, as Joanne said, to local need in key growth sectors and in areas known to have the greatest demand, and recognising really the importance of shaping skills training, doing what we do best in terms of supporting industry need, but making sure that the offer is flexible, and particularly at this time, but flexible enough that we can really support employers, employees in the way that they really need. I think these slides might be on a little bit of a catch up. There we go. Okay, so as is there on the screen, yeah, I mentioned the focus is on employed individuals, underemployed graduates and those returning to the labour market after a period of absence. And during this recent time, the consortium, again, as Joanne says, have worked really hard to provide a responsive, compelling training offer that's had the necessary flexibilities in place. And I know colleague Joanne Harvatt's talked before about what that's meant for particular projects. And this really, in the life of Reboot, has meant that online accessibility has been key. The consortium have had to overcome some really critical challenges. And as Joanne Patrickson said earlier, we've had to respond in a really dynamic way. Lindsey's going to talk a little bit more about the challenges. But we've seen the courses adapt. We've seen the courses really kind of move into an uninterrupted learning zone where remote guidance and support has been best suited to those requirements. So I think certainly in terms of distance travel, those last few months have been particularly key for us, and made really greatest use of the collaboration, not least as the colleges have come together naturally, but also in the shape of our relationship with the LEP as well. There we go. Not quite ready for Lindsey yet, so I might have to go back. My mouse is sticking a bit, I think, on the slides. So yeah, thinking more about the strong collaboration that we've got with the LEP and our commitment to providing the tools that individuals really need to progress and develop. This has resulted in a collective offer of 16 live courses. I think we're up to 20 in total in terms of some of those that are coming up with start dates soon, and with many more to follow. We've got an emphasis on driving progression that really opens up career opportunities, and the colleges have provided such a powerful platform in terms of being able to explore options, with the added value gained from receiving insightful qualification-based training. The programme itself runs until December next year, and we've already seen a number of really strong success stories coming through. Positive feedback, reports of more confidence in exploring new horizons, all citing Reboot in terms of the flexibility of its offer and the host of courses that have been available, being instrumental into that journey for the individuals. We're really looking forward to continuing the relationship and building on this over the coming weeks and months as restrictions ease and kind of lift a little bit further. Keep an eye on the website, keep an eye on the Consortium website and the LEP's Future Goals campaign to see what's coming up over the next few weeks and months. I'm going to hand you over now to Lindsey. He's going to talk a little bit more about the recent impact and the lessons learned. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Before the coronavirus outbreak, I think we had a pretty good handle on the key and growth sectors in Leeds City region. Listening to our employers, we knew about their skills, needs and challenges. The Reboot programme is designed to address these, particularly in engineering, construction, creative and the digital sectors. It's not an accident that the overwhelming majority of the courses available are digital, because these skill sets cut across other sectors. Many of the skills needs within construction and engineering are digital. This trend will continue as industry looks towards more artificial intelligence and robotics in both design and manufacture. So in March we had the lockdown, meaning no classroom-based delivery. Fortunately, with around 80% of the outputs being digital, it was possible for our partners to respond positively. We're indebted to the college and university staff who worked hard to identify courses that fitted the ESF requirements through the regulated qualification framework, then identified staff and tutors before timetabling the offers to suit the target learner audience, those in work. And if this was not enough, the courses had to be meaningful to both the individual and address the skills requirements of our employers. Reboot courses are targeted to those in employment and are seen as a mechanism to upskill and improve their career opportunities and make a bigger contribution to the Leeds City region economy. COVID-19 also offered up a potentially new pool of learners, those furloughed by their employers. Currently, as Claire says, we've got 16 live courses promoted on the Career Changes page of the Leeds City Region LEP Future Goals website. Some of these are rolling programmes, giving learners a wider choice of options. What proved more problematic, however, was the delivery of courses for engineering and construction. Many of these courses must include some hands-on practical activities that cannot be delivered online. I know great efforts are underway to ensure colleges can resume quickly to deliver these classroom-based courses again when it is safe to do so. They are already taking early registrations. The COVID response from partners specialising in these disciplines was still very positive, and it is expected that building information management software courses will be available by the end of this month. This is tremendous news, given that our local labour market information finds that BIM software skills is one of the top requirements within construction currently. So what have we learned around collaboration? When people talk about COVID-19, they use words like unprecedented and uncharted waters. The collaboration between college curriculum staff and tutors enabled digital courses to be offered early into lockdown. Collaboration between our college and university partners ensured the courses on offer were meaningful and made available at times to suit people in work. Challenges around ESF requirements and the RQF were met imaginatively by looking to work with new or different awarding bodies, and this learning was shared across the partners. A bespoke engineering and construction project group was formed to address the issues around traditional hands-on practical delivery, and the efforts made to secure alternative digital options were shared within this group. Post-COVID, we could be in a very different place. We can say with some confidence we will have new challenges as businesses count the cost of the pandemic and look to bounce back. We already have increased numbers of unemployed people and potentially another spike in the autumn when the job retention schemes and the furlough support are due to end. Working closely with the DWP, we have been granted an easement, meaning we can take a small number of unemployed people onto reboot courses that have lost their jobs directly and demonstrably through the COVID-19 fallout. Career change may not be an individual's choice, but a forced necessity. The rapid response evidence to date on reboot may become the required normal. We will continue to listen to the employers to better understand their skills needs and monitor how these differed from those identified pre-COVID. Close links and partnership working between our employers, our colleges, universities and private training providers will ensure the courses we deliver are timely and fit for purpose. This is not new and follows on from the highly successful college delivery agreements. Employer engagement is written into the reboot programme and will become increasingly important in the future, notwithstanding the immediate aftermath of the pandemic. Roger talked about higher skills and the fact that businesses will need flexibility and adaptability to come out the other side in a good place. Our skills offer must be able to respond in the same flexible manner. We've learned much during the delivery of Reboot, both before and during COVID, and all this learning will inform our future work. Given the uncertain future, a model of ever closer collaboration is the key to our continued success. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts today. I'd now like to hand over back to Joanne.
Thank you, everybody. And a special thanks to our guests who joined us today, Michelle Mook and Matthew Brooks, and of course, Lindsey Johnson from the LEP. Before we take a break and move over to listen to our keynote speaker this morning, Jim Lawless, please stay with us and click on the View Stream on your Hoover app for our live Q&A session. Thank you.